Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to discuss what is an incidental key. An incidental key is, quite frankly, a key that works a cylinder that was never originally planned. Let's talk about exactly how that could be done. So let's ease into it. An incidental key is a key that will operate a cylinder. However, it's not the key that was designed, or one of the keys that was designed to operate the cylinder. Sometimes the term ghost key is used, but when you look in the industry dictionary, the List Council dictionary, which I'll show you in a moment, and also where to find it, ghost key, while it's in there, it's not a technical term. It's not an industry approved term. But when someone says ghost key, they're in my experience, referring to an incidental key, a key that incidentally works. You know, your master key and your change key work, but incidentally, so does this other key or other keys. And a lot of people will call that a ghost key. So you can have a cylinder, you can have I'll use the term cylinder. You've got a lock, something, and you've got these keys that work it, but then there's this other key that someone else has, that someone says, I know that they're getting into that door. How are they doing that? What key do they have? Let's look at the definition of incidental key right now. Okay, from our website, what you'll need to do is get to manufacturers. Somewhere on the page, you'll find, somewhere in our site you'll find manufacturers, and I'm saying that because our site design will likely change while, you know, when you're seeing this video. Search our manufacturers list for ABS, which is us, Architectural Builder Supply. This is the page on which I put links to documents that are our bookshelf, our encyclopedia set, our repository of information. On this page, if you do a find function, Control F for the word list, you'll find List Council, Locksmith Dictionary. Let's take a look at that. Now from the dictionary, when it opens up, you can do, again, Control F, find function, and then start to look for the word incidental, I-N-C-I-D, and you'll find it. There are three instances, well, there's three instances of the word incidental, but the one that's important to us is this. Incidental master key. Well, there, you know, the people, this is on the 45th page of this document, the people who put this document together, these names, I have not met him personally, but I have conversed with him. Rockstar, 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 Rockstar. I've had a class with him. Rockstar, Rockstar. The only reason I don't highlight these other names is because they're not familiar to me. But if these other names are in the company of Jerome Andrews, Jerry Finch, A.J. Hoffman, Billy Edwards, this guy has forgotten more about locksmithing than people have ever learned. John Trumpy, Don O'Shell, Lloyd he's a god of master keying. So the people that put this together, that term is there for a reason, a very specific reason. I'm going to just conclude that the use of the term master in incidental master key is that it is a key that it very likely operates more than one cylinder. So without me being able to speak to Lloyd and say, Lloyd, in the definition, why exactly is the term master key inserted there? Incidental key, a key cut to an unplanned shear line created when the cylinder is combinated to the top master key, also known as the TMK, and a change key. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, you've got a cylinder that's got two keys working it, for sure. In fact, it could be at least two keys. The truth of the matter is there's more than two keys that operate it, because you've got the TMK working it and a change key, but you also have an incidental key working it. So in this definition, there's at least three keys that operate that. The question in this video to answer is, how does that happen? How can that occur? Let's switch to a different camera view and take a look at some of the math behind it. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. So let's create a key system here. Let's say that we've got a client that has the need today for just one cylinder, except that he knows, he's said, well, you've asked, how many more locks will work in this system? And the client has said, there's going to be a total of 16, or 16 is a good number. There's going to be a total of 16 locks over the entire scope. But today I need one lock, and it's going to be to the first key number, and you're going to create a master key system. So let's say that you make a master key, and we're going to use standard key coding symbols here. We're going to call it AA. AA is going to be our master key, and we're going to make it 3, 6, 7, 2, 8. That's a good master key for, well, it's a master key. The first change key for the one cylinder is going to be the lock that the client's going to leave today with. Well, you're using, you need to generate all of your key numbers. And what you may have learned to do, or what you may know to do, is your change keys can't share any numbers of the master key, otherwise maybe things don't work. So let's say that your first change key is going to be 6, 2, 4, 5, 3. It's just going to be your first change key number. That would certainly work. That would all work. You're going to have a bottom pin and a master pin in each chamber for this. By the way, this methodology is called total position progression. What might be an easier way to write a system, and not necessarily better, but an easier way to write the system out so that you can see it smarter or more plainly. Let's make this same master key a little bit easier to understand. So let's make it 3, 6, 7, 0. Well, 0 is okay, actually. 3, 6, 7, 0, 2. I was hesitating because the maximum adjacent cut specification for Schlage is 7. You can't have two keys next to each other that are greater than 7, but that works. Now let's say that our 1AA is going to be just the next available key number in each chamber, which means it's Schlage, so it's a two-step system, which means we would have to have it 5, 8, 9, 2, 4. I've just added 2 to the master key number, and I get my first change key. Okay, here's my first change key. Very easy to understand. The way that I've laid it out is you'll have a bottom pin in each chamber, 3, 6, 7, 0, 2, and in each chamber you'll have a number 2 master pin. 3 plus 2 is 5, 6 plus 2 is 8, 7 plus 2 is 9, 0 plus 2 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. So in each of these chambers you're going to have a bottom pin and then a number 2 master pin on top of it. This is going to be the AA bitting in this case. Okay, and this will be the number 2 master. Okay. You can, this concept and this concept are the same, but this is written out more smoothly. Following the system, just to expand that, your next change key will be 5, 8, 9, 2, 6, 2, 8, 4, 4, 4, 6, 4, 8. You cycle through your chambers like an odometer on a car. I just wanted to show that what that next change key. We could continue to write this out until we got all the change keys, the 16 that the client's going to use in their system, and when the client comes in next week for the second lock, we'll use that second change key. But let's just focus on this. How many keys work this cylinder where I've put a bottom pin and a master pin? Well, 2. 2 work it. The master and the change key. But is that all that work it? Well, turns out the answer is no. That's not all that works it. We know that 36702 will work that. We know that 58924 will work that. We've pinned it. But wouldn't 38702 work? Wouldn't 56702 work? You start to see it? Wouldn't 36924 work? I'm using some of the biddings from here and some of the biddings from here. I'm using a bidding here. Here I'm using these. Here I'm using this, these. Wouldn't any combination of those keys work? Yes, it would. And that's what the incidental is. That is a Achilles heel, so to speak, or a substantial shortcoming of total position progression. So the incidental keys here, you could literally write them all out if you studied those two key numbers. So you know 36702 work, you know 58924 works. Yeah, but so would 56702. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So would 58702, 58902, all of these keys would work because of all of these, because of the bottom pin and the master pin, you create unintentional, incidental shear lines. That incidental or ghost keys would work. Turns out, in a 5-pin system, there are 30 additional keys that would work in addition to the 2 that you intended to work. And that's because if you worked out the quantity of combinations here, you would get to a total number of 32. So if you had a cylinder pinned to this bidding and this bidding, there's going to be 32 total keys that work this cylinder. And it's easily done by, you've got 2 shear lines in each chamber. You've got a shear line here and a shear line here, that's 2. This math works out to be 2 to the 5th power. 2 to the 5th power equals 32. So in this bidding, or any bidding where you have a bottom pin and a master pin in every chamber of a 5-pin system, you're going to have 32. If this was a 6-pin, that number is then 2 to the 6th, which is 64. So if this was a 6-pin system, you'd have 62 additional keys on top of the 2 that you meant to work in. That's what an incidental key is. That's no good. If you are surprised to learn about this, which, you know, I know there was a time I certainly was, you'll want to investigate the concept, the method of progression called rotating constant. This is total position progression. Rotating constant would be the one that you'd want to learn about. And there are countless excellent books. The one that I use most is Jerome Andrews' book. And I will switch to the screen view where I can show you that. Jerry Finch, Don O'Shell, Billy Edwards Jr., John Trumpy, all of these guys. I don't know that Lloyd, I can't think of a textbook that Lloyd has written, but I know that he's a published author. I'll show you a book that I would use, that I, and quite frankly, years after reading it, that I go back and refer to, because rotating constant is a easy system to grasp, but it's one that you need to refer back to the base material. Once you are taught total position progression, you never need to refer back to a document to figure out, well, what am I doing? Rotating constant you do, because there are different derivative ways to apply that. And that's what you're going to want to look into. Let's switch to the screen view and I'll show you a book to take a look at. Okay, going back to our list council dictionary and the names of the authors. Jerome Andrews, so he's got a LinkedIn profile. This is definitely who he is. He's retired, but this is him. This is him. This is his book, Fundamentals of Master Keying. Okay. Right. Yeah, this is the book. Fundamentals of Master Keying by... Yeah, so you could buy it from Aloha, but this is the book right here. Fundamentals of Master Keying by Jerome V. Andrews. If you bought one book, this would be the one book that I would consider buying. If you were going to buy 10 books, there are many, many additional books that are almost equally as great. But for me, a single volume, Mr. Andrews is the most eloquent locksmith author that I've ever read. And they're all great. But this is the one that will, I think, you'll it reads more like a novel than a technical document. So I would recommend that one. I actually have it here. I'm going to grab it and show it to you on camera. Let's wrap up this video on camera now. Okay, so here is that book, Fundamentals of Master Keying, An Introduction to Split Pin Master Keying, Jerome Andrews, CML. So in here, he's going to describe the fundamentals of Master Keying. There will be... Yeah, right on. On page 106 is a section called Choosing a Method of Progression, and that is absolutely where you're going to want to get into. Choosing a method of progression. And he's going to talk about which method of progression is the one that's advisable based on the levels of keying. That was a 2-level system, just a level 2 system. So he says, 2 levels of keying, which means you have master keys and change keys. The rotating constant method is always possible and highly, highly recommended. Total position progression, which is the one that I demonstrated, employs more master pins and results in cylinders that are more casually picked and subject to key interchange. Key interchange is the term that's used to describe incidental keys working the cylinder that weren't originally designed to work. Rotating constant really reduces that. So this book will allow you to dive into it. The other one that I find a true study in locksmithing by A.J. Hoffman and Billy B. Edwards. Think of it more as A.J. Hoffman started it, got it most of the way done, and Billy B. Edwards finished it after the passing of A.J. Hoffman. This book is really great because he talks in depth about certain platforms of keys, cylinder lock types, but he also gets into deeply the matrix method of progression. And if you are interested to truly learn about different methods of progression, it would be total position progression. It would most absolutely be rotating constant, and that should probably be your first go-to, because the majority of systems you likely do, like any other locksmith, are probably level 2. And then if you really want to know everything you can, dive into this book and then learn the matrix method. It's really simple once you start to see it, even though it gets quite complicated. But it is a very efficient system that Mr. Edwards promotes because of the efficiency that he sees in the matrix system. So that would be what I would recommend. Any questions on what is an incidental key or any other locksmithing topic that I can attempt to answer, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.